Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor. We talk about movies on this show, although this is one of our special episodes that we're going to be doing once every 3 months or so, where we do a countdown, we do a list, we rank some movies from a particular decade or genre or whatever other thing we'll come up with. In fact, that's one of the things that you can actually maybe give us suggestions for in the comments, is what other future like top 50s and top 10s and 100s and stuff that you might want to see. But yeah, so we're actually halfway through our top 50 movies of the 2000s, i.e. the decade of the noughties. I hate saying it, I hate it.
If you've watched the first part, which you should have done, because otherwise you missed half the list.
Yeah, that's true.
You will appreciate how much he hated that.
Yep. So we did 50 through 26 in the last video, the last episode, go check that out. This is going to be 25 to number 1. This is the conclusion. And hopefully you get some recommendations. Hopefully you have some fun with us making fun of each other's picks.
Yeah, I tell you now, the top chunk of my list, Pete's just going to hate a lot of stuff that I've got.
Also, I was keeping track, as Connor was saying his picks. So far, there are 6 of his that I have not seen.
I wasn't keeping track. I'll go. It was more than that. Significantly, I'm sure.
I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was. I'd have to, actually go and look at his list and tick them off and let him know.
Yeah, you can't count as we go.
I mean, I could have done, but by the time I realised I should have been, it was too late.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to get started. So the way this works, of course, is that we alternate. Connor gives his 25, then I'll give my 25, and then so on and so forth. And we'll, have a little bit of just an explanation for each one. So without further ado, Connor, your number 25.
Yes, 25. This is a Kevin Smith movie, so Peter's already cringing. But this is, in my opinion, his best movie. Maybe there's maybe one that I'd fight it with, but this is Jersey Girl, and this is interesting. And it's not a typical Kevin Smith movie at all. This is actually a proper romance drama. It's not this quirky Kevin Smith comedy, like most of his stuff. This is a proper movie, and I think it's really good. You got Ben Affleck doing, he's like a single parent, taking care of his daughter, and it's about his new relationship and how that, how his life goes down, basically. But it's really solid.
That's 7.
I knew you wouldn't have seen that one. I feel like you've seen maybe 3 Kevin Smith films and gone, that's enough for me.
Maybe 2.
Have you seen Tusk?
I've not seen Tusk.
That's the other one I would recommend. That they're the 2 that stand out above the rest for me.
Okay, my number 25 is actually one that Connor's already had, which this may be the first time this has happened. Actually, I don't think this happened at all in the first half.
No, I had a few that you'd had.
Yeah, there's a few that you had that I'd already said, but this is the first time I think I've said one that you already said.
Yeah, we knew there was a few coming at least, though, for sure. But I'm not sure this is one of them, because I expect those to be higher.
This is Gladiator.
Oh, okay.
This is Gladiator, so I've got Gladiator. We talked about it a bit in the last video, of course, but this is Ridley Scott, beautifully shot, beautiful music. We talked a lot about the Hans Zimmer music, so I'll just reiterate that again. I've listened to this soundtrack a lot, and it's got a good story about, rising up. It's got some great action sequences, and it's roaring at times, it's sad at others, and ultimately it's about a man trying to go home, and that's what I like about it. So I'll just leave it at that. What's your 24?
24 is another movie I believe we've covered on Influx this year. This is Memento.
You believe? You're not sure?
I'm fairly sure we did that on Influx, but sometimes I'm like, did we?
You forgot. You had to write a reminder down on your wrist.
Yes, very good. I should have done that, shouldn't I? No, this is an excellent movie that plays with narrative structure and the way it reveals things. As Peter there, though, it's about a man who can't create new memories. So lots of note taking and lists as is appropriate.
I can't believe you're describing the plot, but you didn't open with "it's a movie that goes backwards."
I was getting to that.
Oh, it does some inventive things with structure. Like, it goes backwards. Just say it goes backwards.
I was building to it. You always criticize me for building to shit, ruining your build.
Yeah, but my builds make sense. I'm building to a reveal. That wasn't a reveal.
It goes backwards, and it's really good. And the way it reveals information each time you get a new scene. There's obviously before.
Connor, the good comeback to that would have been saying you were doing it backwards, but you failed at that joke as well.
No, this is the thing. I thought about that, and I was like, no, I'm not using that.
This is why I do the puns.
I'm not taking that cop out because that was a cop out. I thought about it and I disregarded it.
This is why I do the puns. He's terrible at it.
No, I'm not terrible at it. They're there in my head. I just have a filter and choose not to say them.
What's the fun in that? That's just no.
Regardless, great movie.
My number 24 is A History of Violence, and this is actually my favourite David Cronenberg movie, which some people will be like, oh really? Like none of his like weirder stuff, not some of his more horrific stuff. Actually, no. I mean, I like some of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but this movie, this is one where I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because I'd seen Cronenberg's other movies, which are very different from this, and it was kind of a completely unique thing for him. It's this thriller drama where you've got Viggo Mortensen is this family man in this small town. He's got a good relationship with his wife. He's got a son that he loves, and he's just living this life. And these criminals roll into town, and they just happen to see him in an incident. There's like a small incident where someone tries to rob the diner that he works at, and they recognise him, and they think he's this guy who used to be like this major crime boss in the crime family back in the city. And it's about members of this family coming to find him when he's like, I'm not this guy, like I'm just this family guy, but they think I'm this some big shot that used to work with them years ago, and it just plays with this, and it's based on a comic book actually, but I love ultimately what the title of the movie means and where it goes towards the end. I can't spoil any of it, of course. But it is a really solid character thriller with good suspense moments, but a good character story, which and I love the ending. I think the ending is it's about. See, I feel like if I even say what it's about emotionally, I give away where it goes. So I'm just not going to. But really good.
Okay, cool. So my 23 is Juno. And
do I know what?
What?
Do I know what?
Oh, very good.
Look, that took you too long. I
have been drinking, as people may have noticed. And I was like, what did I say? I had to go back and think about I was replaying what I said in my head. I was like, what did I say? I said the name of the film. It just, thought process is a little slower right now. I felt like there's no point in me saying anything now. You've ruined it. But no, in all seriousness, we kind of covered in the last video that I like these coming of age movies a lot, and this is one of those. And Peter mentioned a movie with the quirky indie drama tone.
Oh yeah,
and this is one of those for sure.
Yeah, no, it does have that. This one's more specific though because it has that the Juno speak, if you will.
Yes.
With the dialogue, but yeah, this has got that tone for sure.
It does. No, I have a lot of fun with this movie. And it was a bit of a surprise because I didn't really expect much from it when I watched it, and I came out there going, that was great.
Michael Cera, another coming of age movie that Connor likes. So there's a bit of a trend brewing here.
Do you know what? This is the thing. Michael Cera is sometimes I will hate him. Sometimes I'll watch him in a movie and go, "Why are you here? What are you doing?" And other times I'll go, "No, it's fantastic." It's weird.
He's like Nicolas Cage, good or bad?
You can't answer it. You're right.
You can't answer that question.
You can't.
My number... I do like Juno, by the way, just for the record. I don't love it, but I do like it. My number 23 is actually another kind of sort of comedy drama, bit indie. It's Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay. I like this a lot.
This is a movie that, again, kind of came out of nowhere for me at the time. I wasn't expecting much, and I found a really endearing story about this family going across country to the Little Miss Sunshine contest. It's full of wacky humour. You got Paul Dano, you've got Alan Arkin, of course, as the grandfather, who's like really funny. You got Steve Carell in a totally non-comedic role. Like he's the least. I mean, I don't know that he's not funny, but he is the least sort of obviously funny character. He's essentially the straight man. He's the straight man. He's suicidal. He's a suicidal man.
Yes.
Whereas everyone else is a bit more wacky, and it's just it's kind of like when you make fun of these indie dramas and like all these things that they typically do. I feel like a lot of them try and ape what Little Miss Sunshine does.
Yeah, okay.
The weirder things that it does, like they try to emulate, and I feel like that this is like just the direction, the tone, the writing, the way the characters play out. There's a heart to it. Under all the wackiness, there's a heart to what's going on.
Mm.
and you kind of respect it. So no, Little Miss Sunshine is really good.
I do like this movie a lot. It didn't quite make my list. This was because I went out and you made a few extras, going down and then whittled it down a bit. I had this at about 55 or so, so I only just missed out, but it's very good. What number are we on? 22. Oh, funnily, I just made that comment because this is one that you mentioned earlier that only just missed out on your list. This is Valhalla Rising.
Ah, yes.
Yes, another Refn movie because obviously I had Bronson earlier on, and this is a gorgeous movie. Like it just is. I think this is one that you have to be more into Refn to appreciate and enjoy.
Oh, it's a Refn movie. It's a silent movie.
Yeah.
You got Mads Mikkelsen, and you have very little dialogue, and it feels authentically like it's like thousands of years ago. It does not feel like it's present day at all.
No,
which is not meant to be. It's meant to be that time period, but it feels so different.
It's got such a great tone to it. Performance of Mads Mikkelsen is phenomenal. And just the mythology and symbolism that it plays with, when you're looking for it, which you should be if you're watching a movie like this, is just fantastic stuff.
My number 22 is The Fountain. Talking about symbolism and meaning. Yeah, another Aronofsky movie, which honestly it's kind of a shame because I feel like all the Aronofsky movies that I really like were all this decade, and the ones he's done this decade I've not been as hot on. Mother, Black Swan's okay, Noah, like.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler 'cause it's not on this list, but Black Swan might be my favourite of his movies.
It's not mine. I like it the most out of those three, but it's not mine.
I'll be honest, out of those three, it's the only one I've seen as of yet.
Well then, so there you go. But no, The Fountain's actually my favourite Aronofsky movie. It's beautiful. I love what it does with structure. It essentially presents itself as three stories that are working, but you've got the same actors in all three stories, so how do they relate to each other? And there's actually a very simple answer. It's not that ambiguous, really, by the time you finish the movie. You can actually kind of work out what they mean to each other and what's going on. The visuals in this are absolutely stunning. The one story where Hugh Jackman's in a bubble in space with a tree... Every single time it cuts to that, I am in awe of the visuals.
I love how absurd it sounds when you say that, but when you're watching it, it's just like, yeah, okay, this makes sense.
No, it does. It's two characters. It's about their relationship. It's about the pain of that relationship breaking down. It's about the pain of loss. It's all of these things. It is a beautiful movie. I love it. The Fountain.
Cool. I'm just getting like this is. Back to animated movies.
Yeah, I'm just. It feels like every time it's your turn to speak, you always forget.
I was looking.
That it's you next.
I forget where I am on my list. I'm looking, going, where am I? Because the font is probably smaller than it should be.
21.
21 is Fantasia 2000, which is it's obviously it's a sequel sort of to Fantasia. It's a series of shorts, and it is pieces of classical music which they animate stories to, and a lot of them are really good. So there's one or two that maybe aren't as good as the others, but the final piece, Firebird, is phenomenal. It's just something special.
No, that's the 8th one I've not seen. I assume it has no similarities to Dracula 2000, which I have seen, but
I sincerely hope not.
For both movies' sakes. My number 21 is Before Sunset, which is the middle film in the before after trilogy. It's weird because the first one's before sunrise, the second one's before sunset. That's not one of them's after sunrise. I'm forgetting the titles now. Point is, Before Sunset 2004 is the middle. The first film was made in the 1995, 1996 that sort of time period. And it was these two characters, Julie Depley, if I recall her name correctly, and Ethan Hawke, who just meet in Paris one day. And the movie is just them walking around in Paris for a night, talking. And they grow, they bond, and then the next morning, one of them has to get in the train and leave, and it's like, oh, promise you'll be here next year. Mild spoilers for the first movie. But it's just the two characters talking for an hour and 40 minutes. That is the movie. But it's, you know, there's jumps in time because, you know, obviously it's over the night, but it's mostly kind of like each scene's kind of real time. It doesn't cut between things. There's no montages, at least not that I remember.
Yeah.
It's two people walking and talking, and it's very good. The sequel, Before Sunset, is these two characters run into each other again 8 years later. And he, at this point, because in the first movie they're like 20 or something like that, you know, they're young. And in the second movie, he's actually started, he's a novelist, he's written a book. And he's actually on a book tour, which is why she knows he's going to be somewhere. Because she's seen him, like, you know, be famous, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go and speak to him. And this movie actually is completely in real time. It presents itself from the moment they meet in like the bookstore that she goes and meets them in, and it's them going and getting coffee and then walking around, and eventually, you know, back to her place. It's actually a short movie. It's like an hour 15 minutes, hour 20 maybe tops, and it's hard to talk about and say why it works, but it just does. Because Richard Linklater, who made the movie, sometimes his thing does not work for me. I think Boyhood is a movie that doesn't work unless you appreciate the gimmick of it being filmed over like all that time.
Yeah, like, I never watched it because I was like, okay, I get why this has got all the praise and the awards, because it's because of how it was made, not necessarily what the final product is.
But the Before trilogy is just about realistic people and real emotions, and I think this one out of the three has the biggest kind of emotional sort of payoff, if you will. And because you find out like what they've been doing for the last 8 years, who they've been with, are they married, or, you know, do they have kids, these kind of things. And like them discovering each other again, and like sort of reminding each other why they kind of fell in love one night and never saw each other again, and why that happened. And it's characters playing off of each other. It's almost like, you know, I can almost see it as an exercise you give to like a film student. It's like you're going to write a movie, but all you can do is two people in a room talking, and they're actually walking around. But it's that kind of idea where all you have is two people. You have to build a story around that, and this does it. And it's beautiful. It's affecting, and it's great, and it's yeah. There's not a lot of romance, just straight romance films I think I would praise as much as this, but this one is up there.
Oh, cool. So my number 20 is actually Shaun of the Dead. I prefer this over Hot Fuzz. That's right, which is, I think, a more uncommon opinion. Mostly I see people find Hot Fuzz like that most of the trilogy.
I prefer Hot Fuzz, but I don't think it's that uncommon. I feel like it's not a majority as you seem to think it is. I think it's like...
I always seem to see people think that Hot Fuzz is the best of the three. It's not that much.
I think it's more like 50 prefer Hot Fuzz, 40 prefer Shaun, and then there's like 10% who prefer World's End.
Do you know what? I really like World's End, but it's not the best. It's just not.
Yeah, no, I like it as well, but it's definitely the weakest of the three.
Yeah, it is. But no, Shaun of the Dead, it's a classic. You know, it's the... Let's take the zombie genre and, you know, let's have some fun with it. It's got so many just, you know, famously memorable moments, and, you know, it's just a lot of fun. And, you know, hitting people with pool cues while playing Queen, it's always great.
I like Shaun of the Dead a lot, a lot. But I think Hot Fuzz has just... It's just wittier, has a better plot, it moves quicker.
Oh no, it's fair. I think it's one of those where, even though I say, I think more people prefer that, I don't really begrudge them. It's kind of they're pretty close for me.
I think Shaun of the Dead is a really, really good movie. Great even. But then Hot Fuzz was kind of like Shaun was the prototype, and like Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg nailed their script like even better the next time. So they learned from it, and it evolved. But hey, my number 20 is The Mist, which is a horror movie. We're back to a horror film, and this is a movie set inside a supermarket where characters are trapped in this small town because a mysterious mist has rolled in. But in the mist, there are some kind of monsters that are killing people, so they can't go outside. And it's people in the building. And what's great about it, like a lot of bottle horror movies, is that it's actually like it's all an analogy. It's all an examination of society and how the people in the store break down and how they kind of form factions and how one group wants to do this, one group wants to do that. It's an examination of civilization in like a bottle, and that's what the movie is. But on top of that, you do have really cool monsters. You have cool scary moments. You have cool suspenseful moments. And on top of all that, you have one of the best and ballsiest endings of all time. Seriously, fantastic.
And remind people just how much you hated the TV show version, would you?
There was a TV version last year, which there wasn't even like monsters, at least not yet. Maybe there was monsters in later episodes, but it just made people go crazy or something. There was something weird, and the characters were awful and badly written and on the nose, and the whole thing.
This makes me laugh. That you had to watch that, and I got out of that one. Just makes me feel good sometimes. I know. So my 19 is Finding Nemo. I like Pixar, as you may be able to tell. It is especially Pixar at this point in time, where it's like, no, this was Pixar at their prime, perhaps. And this is the father trying to find the son, going on a journey. It's essentially becoming a man, even though he's already the father. He's proving himself that he's capable and worthy. With fish, of course, and of course, it's very funny.
Yeah,
I like it.
Willem Dafoe is a standout. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Also, a surprisingly good score.
Number 19 for me is actually one that Connor's brought up before, and that is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Park Chan-wook's first in the Vengeance trilogy. We talked about it at length last time, but I'll just say I love it. It's fantastic, and for all the reasons stated already. We kind of went into that one quite in depth, actually. For what an entry this can be in depth. So no.
Okay, cool. My number 18 is the next Harry Potter film that I have on here. This is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is by far the best adaptation from the books, because that book was overlong and unwieldy, and this is, I think, the shortest of the movies, and it does a lot of really good things. This is where we kind of changed the director, and we got the director in for the rest of the series. Then at this point, kind of shook up a few of the styles, especially the visual combat of the spell battles, the duels. That really give it some action and motion in the last act, and I really like this movie a lot.
I remember liking this one more than the ones before it, I think.
Okay.
To an extent. There's another one where I think filmmaking wise is better, but like I feel like this is just from the plot, just from the Harry Potter plot. This is the first one where I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of into it now.
Well, that's it, because at this point, this is where the plot kind of has got started, really, because the end of the last one is okay, this is it, we're ready now. And this is the start of the end game. We're going towards the final stuff now, even though it's only halfway through the movies.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But again, I'm not a big Potter guy, so...
Yeah.
My number 18 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet. This is a movie where this technology exists where you can actually erase the memories of a person. And this movie's about, after a really bad breakup, Jim Carrey decides he wants to erase the memories of Kate Winslet. And a lot of the movie is inside his head as the memories are being erased. And throughout the course of the movie, he decides that he made a mistake and he does not want to lose these memories. Because despite the fact of how much pain he's in and how painful the breakup is, it's not worth losing all the happy times that he did have. So it's a very heartbreaking movie, but there is like a sort of element of like hope in there and love as well. And I think this one actually, depending on how you view the world, you could actually look at it very cynically, or you could look at it with an optimist viewpoint. I think it can actually go either way, depending on how you want to read it. But I would like to read it optimistically. I feel like if you have the option, you go with the optimist side, because why not? Because ultimately that's kind of the thing, is like if the glass is exactly halfway down, is it half full or half empty?
I always give an answer to this whenever anyone asks me. It depends on the situation. It's all contextual, because if it's already full and you're drinking out of it and then it gets to halfway, then it's half empty. But if you're filling it up and it gets to halfway, then it's half full. So it's all about context. I'm a situationalist.
Oh, you're such a prick. All right.
I know, but you can't argue with that logic. My next one is number 17. This is 3:10 to Yuma. This is a Western, and I think probably the only Western on here. But it's different to all our Westerns. It's very psychological. It's about these two men kind of having this almost this debate of right and wrong and morality, and how this fits into this world. But of course with some solid action sequences in there as well.
I like it. Honestly, I was disappointed in it when I saw it at the time.
Okay.
I think I expected something slightly different from it than what I got.
Okay, that can always ruin your impact that a movie can have on you.
Yeah. So I might feel differently if I saw it again now, but
Knowing what to expect, yeah.
As it is, I'm a little bit lukewarm on it.
No, that's fair enough.
Anyway, my number 17, we're going back to Korea for a Korean film. This is Save the Green Planet. This is a wonderful film that is one of these that just breaks the idea of what genres are. Because screw being in one pigeonhole. This is a movie that is equally comedy, science fiction, and apocalyptic. It's all these things.
Sounds great.
It bounces from serious moments to funny moments. You've got a character who may or may not just be mentally ill. He believes the aliens are going to take over the planet or possibly destroy it, and he spends the movie doing really extreme things like kidnapping people he believes to actually secretly be an alien, and all other kinds of things. But he believes this with every, fibre of his being, and you really don't know throughout the movie, is this real or is he just crazy? Is he unstable? And you're kind of like playing with that throughout the whole thing, and it bounces back. It's funny, it's serious, it's scary at times with some of the situations he ends up doing to people, and like you don't know where to go with it, and it balances it all perfectly. Save the Green Planet, seek it out. It's good.
Cool. My 16 is one that we've mentioned earlier. This is Batman Begins. I like this a lot. Again, we kind of went into this why it's a great Batman movie. It takes it seriously, but more than just being a great Batman movie, I think it's just a really great movie. It has a phenomenal cast. It has great villains with presence, and of course you got a solid protagonist.
That's Batman.
and my favorite score of the trilogy.
I don't know if I'd say that, but what I will say that might be controversial to some, the Dark Knight trilogy's music is better than any of Elfman's Batman music. So.
Oh, absolutely is. I think that the reason I like this one, this is obviously has a James Howard on it as well. I think it was, yeah.
That's on Dark Knight as well, though. To be fair.
Yeah, but he's a lot less impact on Dark Knight, whereas with Batman Begins, they actually just split it and wrote half the cues each, and it's really clear as to which are which, in my opinion.
Sure. I like both composers, so I was never.
I do as well, but I think the way it blends is quite fascinating to me, even though I can tell the difference.
Yeah, I know. I do like the music a lot. But is it because people always say, "Oh no, Danny Elfman's Batman theme is the best thing ever," and like, no, I prefer the themes in the Dark Knight trilogy.
I think that's a great theme for that movie, but only for that movie.
Okay. My number 16 is a little film called Bubba Hotep. Oh yes. Bubba Hotep stars Bruce Campbell. He plays Elvis, who's in an old folks' home, because he's the real Elvis, and he switched places with an Elvis impersonator, and it was the Elvis impersonator who actually died. And this Elvis, no one believes he's Elvis, of course, they all think he's this other guy. He is in the old folks' home, but unfortunately the old folks' home gets attacked by a mummy, who's sucking the souls out of the old people who are in the old folks' home. And him and a man who believes he's JFK, which is hard to take because he's a black man, but he believes he's JFK. They team up to fight this mummy, even though they need walking sticks and they need wheelchairs. They take on this mummy. Also, we've been talking about music a lot this countdown. Fantastic music. I love it. In fact, the musician Brian Tyler has went on to do much bigger scores for big budget movies.
Yeah.
This is still my favourite Brian Tyler score.
Okay. Oddly, I think my favourite of his scores is from one of the Fast and Furious movies. I've never even seen the movie, but I love the score.
No, he's done a few good ones. He did a really good score to the second Expendables, I think, but he did probably one of the better Marvel movies, Iron Man 3, in terms of the score.
Yeah.
Because it actually had a theme that you remember, unlike some of the other movies. But no, I love the music in this. That's another one where the score's played quite often. Yeah. But I reckon it is. Obviously, it sounds really ridiculous, and it is, and it does have a lot of laughs, but it's got just enough heart where the threat is taken seriously by the characters, where it's not just a farce of a comedy. It's like there's just enough of it. It's got this really interesting B-movie tone where it just nails it. It's from Don Cascarelli, who made the Phantasm movies. So you've got some horror
Cool.
protege, in there. There's Bruce Campbell as well, who's as fantastic as Elvis. Literally, the line "Don't fuck with the king" after he kills like this evil bug is like, yeah, clap, ovation.
So my 15 is Hero, and we mentioned House of Flying Daggers earlier, and you mentioned how your fantastic use of color.
Yeah, Zhang Yimou, yeah.
Yeah, I think Hero surpasses that. I think it is the best use of color I've ever seen in a movie. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Plus,
if you don't know, it's a movie where it's actually the actual present day story of the movie is just this Jet Li's character talking to this emperor of China, and the movie's told through flashbacks. But every time he tells the story, the emperor points out flaws in it. So then he changes his story to a different perspective, almost to a different version of the story.
It's the Rashomon effect.
Yeah. Kind of, but it's all from the same person.
It's from the same person, but it's the same
similar
concept.
idea. Yeah, it's a similar idea, but it's not necessarily the same. Because Rashomon, it's all the same event from these. Whereas this is like each one kind of moves forward, and you get like new parts of it. Yeah. But every time he tells a new version of it, all the characters are wearing a different color. So, and I can't remember the order, but in one of them they're all wearing red, and then in one of them they're all wearing blue. One that's all yellow or white or whatever the colors were.
Makes for some fantastic visual showcases.
There's also a fight that takes place over like a
lake.
A lake, yeah, and it's a lot of like sort of Chinese looking trees. I'll just say I don't know what you call them. I don't know if it's bamboo. It's not. I don't think it's bamboo. It doesn't look like bamboo to me. But it's like it's really pretty. There's a lot of wire work again. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous movie.
It's very good. Yeah. So my number 15.
Yes.
We're on 15.
We are.
That was seriously your 15.
It was. I like that a lot.
My 15's Hero.
I thought you were going to question that it was too high or something the way you said that then.
No. I was just double checking that was your 15 and I wasn't.
No, okay, no. That was weird.
Now, to be fair, this happened, I think, at least once. It may happen twice with Tim in the top 100 horror movies. Not often.
Okay.
Not often. Actually, no, it didn't. This is what happened with the horror movie list, right? We were just one off in a couple of picks, but what was weird is the ones where we were just one apart. One of them was your next, so it was like one of us said it, and then the next one was your next. So it was like, and then the other one was It Follows. So one of us said It Follows, and then the one that came after was It Follows.
That's weird.
But yeah, Hero. So it was just kind of said why it's so good. It looks beautiful. Action's great. There's a lot of heart. Really good music as well, actually. I think
there is, yeah.
And I think the way the movie ends, and you sort of get to the point of the movie, and the music's playing as this big moment happens, and you get this text coming up, kind of saying what this led to, just in terms of the country's history. It's a really sort of big, grandiose, like heroic. I mean, pardon the word, moment.
No, but it is, yeah.
Yeah. So no. It's very, very good. All right, you're number 14.
Yes, 14. That would be Requiem for a Dream, something we've already mentioned. You had it.
So I can't even joke that that's my next one then. Just
no, you can't. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work that way. But we kind of mentioned earlier why we like this a lot, so I won't really go into it. But yeah, I've got this one of those. If you haven't seen it, well, you probably should.
My number 14 is a Korean film. It's called Three Iron. And this is a film where you got this guy who essentially is a serial squatter, where he finds houses where the families are on vacation, and he breaks in and just lives there for the week or two, and then leaves and goes and finds another place. And he breaks into one where the wife is actually still there in the house. It's a bit of an awkward thing, but what it actually is, it's a love story about him and this woman falling in love, and obviously she's not in a great place in her life because she just looks depressed. She doesn't like chase him out. She doesn't get angry. It becomes this thing. And what's beautiful about this film, though, and what makes it so inventive, is that these two main characters never utter a single word to each other the entire time. It's all played in silence, and because it's just them for a large portions, it's like a silent movie for a long, long time. It's not until later on where some other characters come into it where you have some more audio speaking happening. But it's just them in silence, and it's beautiful. It's told through body language, it's told through action, and where it goes towards the end, where it's a really beautiful, touching story, and I think it's a. It sounds like I'm getting choked up. I'm just swallowing as I speak.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's just beautiful.
It's just beautiful. I can't get over how beautiful it is. But it is. It's a really. It's romantic, but it's a very inventive romantic film. And I like all the themes it plays with. I actually had this up for vote this month on Overload between me and Matt's movie. We don't know who's won that yet. We'll find that out soon. But
I think it's interesting you're just describing this, and I'm going, oh, this sounds interesting. I think Matt will hate that.
I don't care. He needs some good films in his life, god damn it.
Mr.
Mainstream over there.
Yeah.
You're 13.
Okay, my 13. This is Serenity. And okay, go on, get your reference out.
My reference? Oh, I suppose this is technically another episode because we split this in two.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Oh, of course, okay. Joss Whedon directed this, wrote it. He, of course, also directed and wrote the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay, moving on to why it's pretty good. So, obviously, this actually has the advantage of, you're already familiar with all the characters because it's the sequel to a show. So it kind of just hits the ground running in that sense and, just raises the stakes of what you had before. But, you're already into all the characters, so this is just kind of the next point / ending of a lot of the stories. And it's fantastic. I'll let Peter say more when he gets it further up.
I can neither confirm nor deny such accusations.
You don't need to.
My number 13 is Collateral. This is a Michael Mann movie from 2004. This is actually one where I'd heard... I remember because I was 15 at the time. And I remember hearing vaguely... This is when I was maybe starting to pay attention to the opinions of things on the internet and seeing what the consensus of some movies were. And I remember oh, this Collateral is a good thriller. I'm like, okay. And I actually... There was hardly any showings of it left. And my friends wanted to go see a movie, and I talked them into this movie that only had one showing. It was Collateral. But I was so adamant I wanted to see it. And I was so glad I did.
Do you remember when you had to go to the movie with friends?
I know.
Come on, I want to go see this movie. Come on, come with me.
I remember there have been a couple of years when I missed a few movies because people were awkward and I didn't get to see them. And I just made a hard decision. I think it was probably just after I left high school. I made a hard decision where, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to go see things myself.
I think I did it in my first year at university where I was like, no, screw you. I want to go see this movie.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting in the dark. You're not supposed to speak. You're watching a movie.
I'm not going to talk to you. I'll talk to you after, but that's fine. I'll come back and see you.
Yeah, there's this weird stigma with going to see the movies by yourself, which is weird because why not? And it's funny because when you go yourself, you actually notice that a fair amount of people do it as well. It's not just you. You see other people on their own.
You do, but you don't notice until you do it on your own.
Yeah, but then you do actually realize it, and it's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Anyway, but no, it's really good. The plot of this movie is that you get Jamie Foxx as this taxi driver, this cab driver, and Tom Cruise is a hitman who goes in his cab and he's taking him around, and he pays him for the night. He's like, hey, I'll give you X amount of money for the rest of the night. We've got 5 stops to make, which turns out to be 5 hit jobs that he's going to do in the city of Los Angeles throughout the night. And once it's revealed what he's doing, Jamie Foxx essentially becomes this captive of him because he can't just run because he'll be killed. So he's driving him around the city all night. It's all one night takes place, and it is gorgeous. Michael Mann shoots nighttime like no one else. It is beautiful. The lights of the city look great. It's fantastic. So much of it's on the road, so much of it's in the car. The action's really good. Whenever Tom Cruise does go into sort of action mode, when he has to actually start firing his gun and whatnot, he's a badass. It's great. Suspenseful, tense. Characters are likable. The villain's even somewhat sympathetic at certain points, and it's great. Michael Mann has some weaker stuff in his filmography, but he has a good selection of a good half dozen fantastic things, and this is right up there with the best of them. I love Collateral.
Cool. So my number 12. This is going to be the first one since there was a lot of the last video where I would say a film and Peter would go ugh. And, it hasn't happened as much this video. I mean, my first pick at 25, he definitely did it for that. This is the first one in a while. Probably since then, he's definitely going to do it. So this is Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Go on.
All 4.5 hours of this
Yes,
thing.
and I want to specify, I'm on about the extended cut, because that is the only way to watch this movie, in my opinion.
It's the way to cure insomnia, if that's a problem for you.
I love this movie. It's great. It's got some phenomenal battle sequences, multiple phenomenal battle sequences. It's got some fantastic character moments, closes the arcs for a lot of them.
Hi, about 50 times.
Yeah, I love every single one of those endings and the epilogue. Screw you. I love this movie.
I didn't hate the first one that much. I felt like you could have put all three of them into the one movie and it would have been better. But there was far too much.
Didn't hate the first one that much.
I like the start of it. Once they went on their journey, they started to fall apart for me.
It's funny. Obviously, the books, that section before they go on the journey is a bit longer than in the movie. That's because the books are they're split into two. So that is my favorite book out of the 6 of the Lord of the Rings. I love that section.
I am not a Lord of the Rings fan. I've mentioned before, of course, I'm not typically into fantasy, but I find Lord of the Rings painfully boring, and I do not like it at all.
Yeah, he kind of despises it, which is why I said there's going to be stuff on my list up here that he just hates.
I don't despise it as much as The Hobbit, though. That third Hobbit movie is one of the purest excuses of a cash grab I have ever seen in my life.
No, I agree. I will defend the first 2 Hobbit movies to very. I don't think either of them are as good as any of the Lord of the Rings movies, but I will defend them as good movies.
That third Hobbit movie is about 5 minutes of plot stretched out to 2.5 hours.
Do you know what? There's a reason that in the book that movie took place over a sentence. I'm not exaggerating. It's a sentence. That whole battle is a sentence in the book, and it should have been left as a sentence. Anyway, screw that movie.
What are we on? Number 12.
Yeah.
My number 12 is Memento, which has popped up before, of course. But in case you forgot,
I really wish I'd had it at 21, but unfortunately it's 24. I mean, it's pretty close.
So it was the opposite way around, yeah. Now, Memento, everything we said before, now out of structure very well, and
I'm not sure that was really a sentence.
Yeah. It's because I said I pronounced narrative in a weird way, and I sort of stopped to think about how I said it really weird, and then I just kind of ended the sentence abruptly. But anyway, so yeah, the structure's obviously very inventive, and it actually adds because of what the character's doing, the condition he has. But it reveals more about the character as we go on, and it makes us question things, because he has to question so much. He can't really trust anyone. Can't even trust himself. The movie really explores that, gets really inventive, and it's just it's a great ride. So
yeah, we went over it a lot earlier. But my number 11, yes, 11. This is Wally. I love this movie, especially the opening, 40 minutes or so, which are just silent. I think that's I like the stuff after that as well, but this first chunk of this is something special for me.
Wally.
Yes.
Let's say it properly.
Very, very good. This movie lives on its sound design. Bemba is the hero of this movie. He is why this works, and it's just fantastic.
I like this quite a bit as well, and I do have to echo though. I think the first 30-40 minutes of this is so good.
Yeah. That
the rest of it does feel a little bit of a letdown.
I still like, the thing is that it feels like a letdown, but when I think about just those parts, like it's still doing really interesting, typical sci-fi stuff that often see.
It's not bad. It's just I can't help but feel like if it had maintained those first 30-40 minutes for the whole thing in some way, I'd probably have it on here somewhere.
No, that's fair. But no, that opening section is the I think it was a really brave choice to put that long of a silent sequence in a kids movie at the start. I appreciate it.
Should have been longer.
It should have been. I'll grant you that. If that had been the whole movie, this would probably be top 5.
My number 11 is Old Boy. Of course, we mentioned Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Both of us have, actually. This is the second in the Vengeance trilogy from Park Chan-wook, and it is great. It is about a man who is kidnapped and imprisoned for 15 years, maybe 16 years. It's been a while.
I think it was 15.
15.
Give or take.
He's been in prison for 15 years, and then he is let out all of a sudden, and he's told that he's got a week to solve why he was imprisoned. So he has to go on this hunt to find out why. And of course, one of the reasons why this movie is so well known is the infamous one-take hallway fight scene where he takes on about 30 men with a hammer and nothing but a hammer. And it's phenomenal.
It is fantastic.
And we love to point out music. I also love the music in this movie. I feel like Sympathy for Mr. Avengers is a very quiet film. There's not a lot. There's like almost no music in that movie at all. Whereas Old Boy has a lot of big themes that it likes to come back to, and I love all of them. It's really good music.
It does. I love this movie. It's fantastic, and like you said, it's all about just okay. How screwed up is this world?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that, again, we said that with Sympathy for Mr. Avengers, but it's just points of just stomach churning.
And of course, it gets very dark towards the end, and
yes, it does.
Brings up some things, but really, really good. So, Old Boy.
Yes.
Ignore the remake at all costs, please.
I refuse to go anywhere near it.
Yep.
Because why would I ruin this? No. So number 10, this is The Dark Knight, which is no surprise that this is on here because it's a phenomenal movie. It is. I had Batman Begins not so long ago, and this is undoubtedly better in almost every way. I think the music is the only way I'd say Batman Begins I prefer. But this is a fantastic movie. The performances all round, of course. Heath Ledger's Joker is famous for how fantastic it is, and it just hooks you right from the start of the movie with its opening sequence, and that's it. It just keeps going.
My number 10.
Have we done this again?
No. My number 10 is Moon, which is a science fiction film by Duncan Jones, who criminally has been wasting his time on a Warcraft movie for the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, I know. Don't remind me.
It depresses me so much. But he made Moon. The reason why I love him, and I love his next movie as well that came later, Source Code. But Moon is his masterpiece. It is a film with Sam Rockwell multiple times, might I add, and it's funny because the trailers don't reveal something, but I feel like I have to reveal it because I feel like it's not that much of a spoiler really because it's kind of the premise of the movie. That he finds a clone of himself.
Is that not in the trailers?
That's not no, because when I watched the movie, it's a surprise when he finds himself.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch this when it came out.
At least the first trailer, the trailer I saw anyway, never had that in it.
That's fair. I didn't see this when it came out, so I've kind of when I watched this, I always knew that was the premise.
But yeah, so there's 2 of them, and they have to figure out why there's 2 of them. It's figuring out what's going on, how do we get home. One of my favourite emotional scenes of any movie are in this. I'll just say it's the phone call. I won't say anything more than that.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's a movie about ideas. It's a movie about what constitutes his life.
It's so much of it is in the ideas. It's all it talks about these big ideas, these big questions, but it doesn't show all that much.
It's also a character examination. You actually get to examine who this character is based on how one of them is actually earlier than in the life cycle, and you see how different they are, and you get these ideas. It's fantastic. It explores so much. It's beautiful. I love the way the moon looks whenever we're outside, and he's in that rover going around.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great low budget science, because it is a low budget movie. It's actually only like $10-20 million, which I know.
And most of it's in the one compound. You have a few bits out on the moon, but most of it's in the one building. But
it's great. I love it. The fantastic performance, fantastic music. The Clint Mansell score is hauntingly beautiful. So, Moon.
Cool. That was number 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So number 9, another one where Peter's gonna go is Casino Royale. This is my favorite Bond movie, and I love most Bond movies. Not all, obviously. Some of them are not good, but this one is fantastic. It's sorry, Craig at his peak, even though obviously it was his first one.
It's all downhill from here.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that. I mean, Quantum of Solace can just go burn in a fire for all I care. But I like the other 2 well enough. But they don't match this. This has everything that I want in a Bond movie. It's got great villains. It's got great action sequences. It's got great cars. It's got quips. It's got everything. I love this movie.
This is actually the movie that confirmed to me that I just don't like the idea of James Bond, because everyone said, "Oh, it's darker. It's the reboot that Bond's been waiting for. Everyone loves it. Everyone was raving about it when it came out." And maybe about a year after it did, it was on I think I was still like had cable and stuff at that point. Whereas now I've long said goodbye to those things because the world's changed. But and I watched it. I watched Casino Royale, and I just kind of left it feeling like So it just confirmed to me that there's just something core about James Bond, and generally speaking,
spy things in general. I would say for you, to be fair, it's not James Bond specific.
For example, like Atomic Blonde, I wanted to see this year, because the music, the trailer was pretty good. And I turned it off after about 30 minutes. I was bored to tears.
I watched it just a week or two ago, and I loved it.
Yeah, I was bored to tears during Atomic Blonde for what I watched of it. So I'm just not a big spy guy. I mean, there's obviously some exceptions, depending on how they tackle it. But typically, the traditional ways of tackling it, I do not like. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is like the most insomniac curing movie I've ever seen in my life. I fell asleep twice in the theatre seeing that. Twice!
Another movie I love.
Twice. That movie has like one of the best casts of all time.
It does have a phenomenal
It's stacked from top to bottom, and I fell asleep twice.
Yeah, well, you're just a prick. What's your 9?
My 9 is District 9. One that you brought up quite a while ago.
Did you put it here because it was 9?
I did not. That was not intentional. I often talk about, I remember in 2009, I was really enthusiastic, because I'm a big sci-fi guy, and I felt like 2009 gave me this renaissance, because Moon, District 9, Abrams Star Trek, hell, even Avatar, which I like, gets a lot of shit, but I do like Avatar.
It's fine.
And, all those movies combined, I'm like, man, sci-fi's back. Like, sci-fi, I felt like it had been kind of lingering for a while. But even The Road was 2009,
Yeah, no, good. It was a good year.
All these sci-fi movies all came out this year, and I was in love with all of them to varying degrees. Some of them appeared in this list, some of them not, but I liked them all. And District 9 for me, I mean, it's always been a close fight between that and Moon. That and Moon have always been like neck and neck, kind of battling it out for supremacy. And I think what I love about District 9, we obviously talked about the messaging, the themes, what it's doing. I love the character arc for the main character. I think Cheryl Copley is a fantastic actor. It's a really good arc. I love where it goes. I love the science. I love that it's not afraid to go balls deep into these science fiction action ideas. We've got mech suits. We've got this. The action in the last act of the movie is fantastic, and it's a relatively low budget movie, and the effects look good.
No, they do, and the design makes it pop.
Yeah, it's great. I remember starting this, not knowing anything about it, thinking, it'll probably be mediocre, whatever. And by the end of it, I was standing up, cheering, and yeah, that was badass. I was into it so much.
I love the idea of you at home giving it a standing ovation.
And here's the thing: Blomkamp's next movie, Elysium, was very heavy-handed with the messaging. I still liked it for the most part. It's nowhere near as good as District 9, but it visually and just from the action and all that sort of stuff, I liked it. I liked what it was doing. At least in that sense. Chappie gets a lot of shit. I actually don't hate Chappie.
You're one of the few people who don't.
Some people really, really hate Chappie, and I actually kind of like what it's doing. There's a lot of that movie I like. Even if there's some parts that are stupid, I agree there are. I could have done without the overly sappy bit right at the end. But I like Blomkamp's visuals. I like what he does with science fiction and how it looks. I like how sort of it's sci-fi, but it's got this sort of gritty, sort of rusty look to it. But there's colour in there as well. It's this bright kind of popping thing for it. And the reason why I'm going into this and my Blomkamp sort of opinions overall. I love District 9. That's kind
I know where you're going with this.
That's the pinnacle of Blomkamp stuff, and it's not been as good since. But I still kind of like what he does overall, even when it's not that great to other people. He was supposed to do a sequel to Aliens. And he was told no because Scott wanted to do his Alien Covenant, which at the time was Alien Paradise or something like that, or Paradise Lost or something. And just today, the reason why I'm bringing this up is just today, more concept art for this direct Alien sequel was released. And all of it looks fantastic. And you know what? I get the complaint. That it would be this essentially a big budget fan movie for Aliens, this direct sequel that had Ripley and had Michael Biehn back.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be just the ultimate fan movie, and it wouldn't be as good as Aliens. Of course, it wouldn't be, because there's very little that beats Aliens in this type of movie.
Yeah,
absolutely. But you know what? I will take a good Blomkamp fan fiction movie for Aliens over the shit that Ridley Scott's gave us the last couple of times.
Yeah, I mean,
Alien Covenant was dire.
I just want to say, I don't know if you saw the interview where Ridley Scott mentioned how they won't ask him to do a Star Wars movie because
he should take him. Go and do Star Wars, something I don't care about.
Piss off.
Do Star Wars.
He said, oh, they won't do it because I know what I'm doing. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you know what you're doing? When you churn out this, are you sure?
Do you know what the thing is? I think he does know what he's doing when he's doing something fresh. I feel like every time he comes back to the Alien franchise, though, it's like, what's happening?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
That's true.
Like, because The Martian was a good movie. You hand Ridley Scott a good script, he will deliver you a good movie.
No, that's true. I think the thing is, especially with lately with what they've been doing with the Star Wars movies, is they've been having the directors very hands-on with the script, and I don't want Ridley Scott anywhere near a script for a Star Wars movie. Piss off.
If it keeps him away from Alien movies, by all means, go and do Star Wars. I'm happy for that, Ridley. Go on.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Your number 8.
My number 8. This is another Pixar movie. We're getting into one regarded pretty highly by most is Up, and of course it's most famous for its opening 10-ish minute sequence, which is this man's entire life more or less. From a young boy to meeting his future wife, having children, it goes on. It's a heartbreaking opening 10 minutes, and it's phenomenal. And for me, I know for a lot of people it doesn't. For me, the rest of the movie lives up to it. It's a fantastic journey, and the ending works so much better because of the opening. For me, I love it.
I like Up a lot. I liked it a lot when I seen it. I've not actually watched it since though. I've never had the feeling to
that's fair enough.
Rewatch it, bizarrely, but I can't fault it as a pick. But hey, my number 8 is a film that I doubt you've heard of, and maybe many people watching. It's called, I'm not sure if the W is supposed to be silent, it probably is, Wreckmeister Harmonies.
All right, I'll give you that one. No idea what you're chatting.
Also, I love how it's a very musical sounding title, and you don't know it because that pleases me even more.
What can I say? I just don't know what this is. Enlighten me.
This is a film. This is a Hungarian film.
Okay.
Now it's from 2000, but it's black and white. It's shot in 1661, and it's a movie where the director is quoted as saying, and obviously this maybe doesn't apply as much now given that technology's changed, but he was quoted at the time as saying that he believes the length of a film reel is a form of censorship. Because this is a guy who likes long takes. And this film is, I think, close to 3 hours long, and it's only it's less than 20 shots.
Jesus Christ.
It is. Now, I'll admit this, right? This is a film student, like an art film student's wet dream.
Yeah, I can tell.
This movie is
black and white, weird aspect ratio, long takes. Yeah, he's just ticking all the boxes.
It's astonishing. It is good. It is a philosophical film. It is a film, with big themes. And like I say, there's so much impressive visual imagery going on. The opening of the movie is the main character, he's trying to show how the solar system works with revolving the moon around the earth, and then around the sun, and all the planets, and he gets people to represent this in a dance floor, and the camera's just moving around as all these people are spinning around each other, and then he eventually leaves, and it's just the music is fantastic as well. I highly recommend the score to this. It's a very unique film music. It's really, really, really good. Like I say, this is not for everyone, but this is a movie where this was back when I used to rent movies through a postal service.
Oh yeah, I mean we're hitting all the old school stuff tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, because again, I think the weird thing about the 2000s is things are old enough that things were different, but we were starting to be old enough, in terms of our age, to you'll do this ourselves and rent movies and whatnot. And I remember this was just one, it was on a best of list somewhere, and I was like, okay, I'll add it to the rental list. And
one day it just popped up.
And one day it popped up, and I watched it, not knowing what it was, not knowing what it was about. And there's not a lot of plot, actually. It's actually very light on plot, bizarrely.
I think it probably is with 20 takes.
but it's about this small town and how they're all worried about going out of work and stuff. And there's also this sideshow that comes with a giant whale. And in fact, that's the poster typically is this main character staring at the eye of the whale. This is beautiful stuff. But I just remember being entranced, and it's just one of these things where what the camera's doing, what the music is doing, what the motion of the scene is doing, is what making the film work. And I was just into it.
It sounds really interesting.
I was into it from then. It's gorgeous.
That is one you should pop for an overload vote sometime.
Oh, I mean, Matt would hate
might
this.
Actually murder you, though.
Matt would despise this with every fibre of his being.
He would, and you might actually get hit in the head with a hammer if it wins.
Wreckmeister Harmonies. I recommend it. That said, definitely not for everyone. I feel like even a lot of people who enjoy our show would probably hate it. So just keep that in mind. If what I've described to you sounds miserable, don't watch it. If what I said piqued your interest, you might just love it.
I'm sure interested. I'll be honest.
I saw he did a newer film a few years ago called The War Horse. No, not The War Horse. That's the Spielberg movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
sorry.
Okay. I just had the same name.
The Turin Horse. Sorry, that's because my mind went.
I've heard of this one.
You've heard of that one? Yeah, that was his newer film, and again, long takes, seemingly little plot. I loved it again because I was worried because that was only the second film I'd seen from Babs Tarr, I believe, if I remember the name right. But I was worried that maybe the second movie wouldn't have the same effect. I'm like, I've seen these things now. I've seen the long takes, the black and white.
The stick's worn off.
But it didn't. It worked. It was beautiful. And I think it's because he does so much in the camera in one shot that it just it's fascinating to watch because it has this air of like this is all really happening to it.
That sounds really interesting. I do want to watch this now.
And it's slow and brood. So they're all long movies. I really want to see his film Damnation that he did a bit before this one because that's meant to be really good. He also did one that is even longer. He did. It was essentially more of a mini-series for TV.
Right.
But I think it's like 7 hours total. I know. So that's what it build up to.
A 3-hour movie is hefty enough. I mean, I was like, I'll sit down and watch it. But you've got to be prepared for even a 3-hour movie.
He also did a movie called The Man from London that I want to see. These have been on my to-watch list for years, and I've just kind of like spaced them out, and I'll look for the other ones down the line.
I sense some of these hitting a Flux at some point in the future. Would I be correct in assuming it might be? And
I feel like these will be interesting because I feel like it is definitely one where you have to interpret and say, okay, this is what it's about. You have to like kind of analyze it yourself, and
I'm all right with that.
Which is something what we do anyway. So it's fine.
Yeah.
But that's my number 8. Workmeister Harmonies. Or Wreckmeister Harmony, sorry, ours. It's WR at the start, by the way, so I'm assuming. But because it's a different language, I'm worried that, maybe Werkmeister Harmony or something like that.
Yeah, I get you.
Because it's not English, so the W might not be silent, but.
So my number 7 is one that we've mentioned quite recently. This is Moon. I love this movie. I was kind of keeping a bit quiet because I was like, I really love this movie.
Only 3 species of difference, so that's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not quite Hero that was bang on.
Yeah, it's not bang on, but it's pretty close. You mentioned the music. I think it's phenomenal. I still listen to that score like probably every month.
The lullaby track, the piano.
It's something special, and it elevates an already phenomenal movie. But we already kind of spoke about it mostly, so we can move on.
My number 7. We're going foreign again. This is a German film. This is a film that I discovered because I'm a fan of the Criterion Collection, so I'd often try movies from that line. Not all of them, because some of them still wouldn't appeal to me, but some of them it's like, okay, I want to see what that is. This is a German film from 2008, and the name Revenge just translates as revenge. That's just the title, but it's you keep it in German because it just sounds better. Because revenge on its own just sounds a bit weird.
There's some you translate and some you go, nah, I'm leaving it.
Like a lot of European films, this has no music outside of maybe 1 or 2 examples of like a radio playing in a scene, but there's no score. It's completely silent, and it is very tense, and it's about this criminal. I don't know how much of a criminal is to begin with, but he's dating this prostitute, and the prostitute's treated very badly, but he's in love with her, and they're going to run away. So their plan is to sneak off and rob a bank. and then just sort of leave, go. They just want the money so they can get away and get out of this life. And we're introduced to this other character who's a police officer. And we see he's a pretty normal guy. We see he has a wife, and he's fairly likable. But he ends up entering into the scene where they're robbing this place, and he ends up shooting the girlfriend. And the movie's about the guy, the criminal, tracking down where the policeman lives, and kind of like integrating himself into their life, and like befriending his wife, and like sort of being around, and you're really like, and this is the thing, it makes you like both characters, and you understand why he hates him. You understand why he did his job. He didn't mean to kill her. Even he just shot at the car when it was like driving away. Yeah. He just, that's who he happened to hit, and it's just hence why it's about revenge. Obviously, it's like, will he go through with it? Will he do it? It is a very quiet film. It's very slow paced, but it's very dark. It's this blew me away when I saw it. This was like, again, it's like, okay, I obviously I knew it was meant to be good because it was in the Criterion Collection, because that's what they do, but it was just like, no, this was like, it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Yeah, and it was
this is actually one that's been on my radar for a while.
It's one of these ones where, like, Wreckmeister Harmonies, like, I understand that a lot of people won't take to that quite the same way I did, but this is like one. There's a few like films from this time period where maybe they're foreign, or they're maybe just lesser known indie films, that I always bring. I was like, this and like 3 Iron. I'm like, yeah, seriously, people, check them out. Go and find them and give them a try.
Yeah. Cool. So my number 6. Oh, Old Boy. We already covered this one pretty extensively.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. Laugh with the no. Hold on. What was a quote? I thought I'll give it a quote, but then I'm completely butchering the quote.
Yeah. This is why I didn't do that. I was like, no, I won't get it right, so I'm going to try.
Because it ends with, if you don't laugh, the world will laugh at you. If you laugh with the world, then it laughs with you. But it's said smarter than that. I can't remember the quote.
Yeah, you've got the sentiment, but not the eloquent wording.
I've butchered it. I do apologise. I thought I knew it in my head, but clearly when I tried to say it, it just came out like shit.
You've just that ruined that, frankly.
All right, number 6 for me. It's another foreign film. Honestly, this decade has a lot of good foreign movies.
It does.
Let the Right One In is my number 6. This is one of my favourite vampire movies. It's about a younger vampire, or I say younger, at least appears younger.
Younger looking.
Yeah, child when they became a vampire, therefore they're internally a child, so they're actually quite old. And it's about her befriending this sort of quiet, shy boy named Oscar, who lives in this estate. He gets bullied quite a bit, and it's got this snowy setting just because of the time of the year, but also just the location. It's a Swedish film, so it's in the north, and it's this kind of sweet but bittersweet love story, kind of these two kids kind of falling in. He really needs someone in his life, and she kind of offers that. And it's also violent and dark at times. It's also got great imagery, and it's this great tale of it's this examination of a vampire in a different way. I feel like vampires are one of the most diverse concepts in like fiction, because there's so many different ways to tackle it.
Yeah, it's funny. I know you mentioned earlier, there's not that many good werewolf movies.
There's a lot of good vampire.
There are tons of amazing vampire movies, but they succeed by doing such different things.
Yeah, they're so versatile.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't forced me to do the reference earlier, I'd be making my Buffy reference here. But I think, look at how vampires are treated on Buffy, where they're these soulless monsters, compared to this, where arguably Eli is not complete. I mean, it depends on your opinion. It depends on where the movie goes. You may have a different opinion by the end of it, but you could argue that no, she has, good qualities. Yeah, she has compassion. She's not just evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah,
and so there's a whole thing there. It's beautiful. Me and Tim did this for streams earlier in the year. Actually, we'd seen it before, but we went back because we wanted to do a favourite, and we did Let the Right One In, and it holds up. Like, seeing it again a few years later. Actually, more than you think. It was a good 8-9 years later, but great, fantastic.
Nice. So my number 5 is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and this is my favourite Harry Potter. So I'm done with those now.
Great. Just 3 of them. That's good.
Hey, 3. It's not that many out of 8. Actually, I don't know quite how many of them were eligible. I think most of them were, but.
Maybe the last one wasn't.
Maybe the last one wasn't. But yeah, but still, 3. And I was choosy. I didn't just put them all in. I could have done. Mm-hmm. But no, I love this one. This one stands out amongst the Harry Potter movies as having a style like that is completely unique.
Well, and funny little anecdote. I have a friend who's a big Harry Potter fan, and this is her least favorite of the films because it's the one that feels the most wrong compared to the books.
See, I don't agree. It feels the most wrong. I think it feels different, but I don't think it's.
Hey, not my opinion.
No. I'm just saying. I don't think it feels wrong. I definitely think it feels different. It's clearly where this is the point where the characters are getting older. You know, the first two are essentially kids' movies, and I love them still, but they are kids' movies. This is no. We're teenagers now, and they kind of okay. We have to start growing up, and the movie shifts with them. And I love the way it's structured, the way it plays with the seasons, the establishing shots are just gorgeous. And I love this movie. It's easily my favorite Harry Potter movie, by far.
I'll be honest, I don't remember this one all that well. I do remember having it more style, but hey.
Also, this is the last of the movies to be scored by John Williams, and it is his best work. And it's on the Harry Potter movie. It's not his best in general, but it's his best.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's got other work to praise.
Of course. Yeah.
Little film called Jurassic Park would have a word with you on that comment.
And Star Wars might have a word with you on that comment. And
Superman may have a word with you on that comment.
It might indeed. The point is, he's got a lot of phenomenal scores.
Also, yeah, just often overlooked, but Home Alone, really good score from John Williams.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's all I'm saying.
It's not bad.
You can literally just put that score on at Christmas and it feels Christmassy enough. And you're like, yeah. Anyway, number 5 for me is The Dark Knight, which is one you had at 10, I believe.
Yes.
So this, of course, reasons said, Heath Ledger's Joker, of course. And I'm going to kind of shit on some movies here to kind of emphasise why I mean, the trilogy as a whole to an extent, but certainly...
Are you going to shit on something I like?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, that's fine.
You agree with this, actually. But one of my problems with a lot of the recent Marvel movies is the lack of what I'd call stakes, where it feels like nothing really means anything, and everything is the good guys. I mean, obviously the good guys are always going to win anyway, and you know, Batman's always going to win a Batman movie,
eventually,
more or less, yeah. But the presence that the Joker has, I mean, just compared to villains, like there is not a single villain in any of the Marvel movies, and I'm not even just counting the MCU, ever, like. Any of the X-Men movies, the Spider-Man movies, any of them. None of them have had a villain like this. As good as this.
Do you know what's sad as well? I would say Harvey Dent is better than any of the Marvel villains as well.
I like Harvey Dent in this. He's not as good as the Joker, admittedly.
But my point is, he is so overshadowed by the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, so he doesn't really get any recognition because no one really talks about him in the same way because you've got Joker to talk about.
Now, where it gets controversial is I would also say Bane is better than most of the Marvel villains, if not all of them.
I would agree with that up till a point. There's like one moment where like, okay.
I'm not including the TV shows, just for the record.
No, that becomes much murkier then.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any of the TV villains are better than Joker here, but
they can at least give him a run for money.
Yeah. But hey, so Joker's phenomenal. I love how it treats it. This movie, Nolan's often quoted as saying that it reminds him of, or is inspired by Heat. It's the Heat of superhero movies, and which is a Michael Mann movie, and I mentioned Collateral earlier. But it has that kind of feel to it, and the stakes are high. Everything is big. So many moments in this movie are so memorable. I love, as a Batman fan, I love how much it gives like Gordon to do it. I love how much it, the Dent story, the way it interweaves into everything. There's very little to fault. There's very little to fault. Honestly, my only criticism of the entire film is that I feel like the look of Gotham is missing somehow. Like it's taken away.
Clean, isn't it?
Yeah, it just looks like a normal city now, bizarrely. And Rises has that problem as well. But that is literally my only real complaint. I love how it ends. I love everything that it builds up to. We've mentioned the music that we love. So
yeah, I mean, all those moments are iconic for a reason. Like, and it didn't take long for them to become truly iconic.
No. I think you go back and watch this now, because obviously when it came out, I watched it a lot, like for the first year. Like it got watched a lot. And then, then obviously time started to, like, bigger gaps would happen between viewings. And, it's been last time I watched it had been quite a while. And watching it again, and even now it's been a while since then, but watching it after, like, a batch of Marvel movies, we're right into the middle of the MCU at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, villains can be this good. They'll not just throw away things for the heroes to beat.
No, that's true. Yeah, I will add one other criticism, although this is maybe a more of a personal preference thing, because I
Okay.
know some people say they don't even notice. The changing of the aspect ratio is really jarring to me in this movie.
Oh, hold on now. Hold on. When you saw it at the theater, it didn't do that.
No, it didn't.
I don't
And
think
that
you can. I don't think you can blanket complain about that across the board because that's only specifically if.
no, it's you're right. It's only specifically, but anytime you watch this now, for well, okay, and maybe you'll see it in the cinema at some point again. But most times you watch this now, you're going to experience it with these changes.
Actually, if you have a projector and you mask for the wider ratio, you won't.
Okay, fine. But
Which is a
most
really,
people don't.
I admit, it's a really specific example. Um,
Like 95% people who watch this movie forever now.
well, also correction, the DVD does not have that change.
Does it not?
No, the DVD is just the same ratio the whole time. So it's only the Blu-ray and the 4K that. Do
Okay, okay, I stand corrected on that one. I didn't realize it was
yeah,
on.
mainly because you wouldn't get the benefit of the extra resolution that the cameras have.
That's fair. But I find it really jarring every time it does it, and it's the only thing that takes me out of the moment when I'm watching it.
What's really funny is it doesn't bother me, and I think that those moments look great. What is kind of funny though is that Mario, a friend of ours who used to do some shows with us, he was the opposite of Connor, where he didn't notice it, and when we mentioned it once, he was like, "What are you talking about?" he just had no idea it changed. I'm like, "How did you not notice?" Like,
And this thing individually, before and after look great, but it's the actual transition. It just kind of jumps, and it feels really sudden and jarring to me.
yeah, and of course Rises has that. So does Interstellar, and
They do.
I think Dunkirk.
Will.
Dunkirk won't, because I think Dunkirk the whole thing was just. Oh no,
I'll tell you
that
what,
had
I've
different
watched
ratios
it.
actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, Dunkirk has like 3 different aspect ratios.
I didn't catch it. Not too fussed.
Oh no, it didn't change though. I had like 3 different ratios because like if you saw it in IMAX, it had this ratio. If you saw it in this different type of IMAX, it had this
but it
ratio.
didn't jump between them.
It didn't jump between them, no. But that was all shot with IMAX cameras, so that won't change. Whatever ratio they pick for the release at home,
Yeah, it'll be consistent. No, that's fair.
should be consistent. But yeah, so no, that was my number 5, Dark Knight. Excellent.
Oh, you're number 5. Okay, so I'm on number 4. This is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh god, you're actually going to put the worst one at the highest, aren't you? Oh my god.
The worst. Oh, we are going to have words in a minute, you and me.
At least the first one has a beginning, and the last one has an ending. The middle one's just the middle. It just does nothing. There's just them walking around. There's trees walking around at some point. There's a pointless fight with lots of crappy CG characters that I don't care about.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I love this movie. I love it. I will agree that the opening half of this movie is the better half, although I still love the second half. All the stuff, and right up until they get to Rivendell, is the best, the really the best stuff. All that stuff is phenomenal.
I'll give you good music. Howard Shore's score is quite good.
Howard Shore is phenomenal. He has created so many themes for this franchise that are used so well. They're interwoven. There's other versions. The way it plays, it's so good. Obviously this is the first one, so okay, all the cast are really great. They play off each other excellently. I just love everything about this movie, and the final battle sequence at Am and Hen, I love. And I love Boromir's stuff as well, which I think a lot of people don't really like that much. Weirdly, I think that's people are a bit less keen on that, but I love it.
Well, he's played by Sean Bean, so we knew it was going to happen to him.
Sure, I didn't mean specifically that moment. I just mean his entire arc. I know a lot of people kind of don't like that much, but I love it.
His face is literally a spoiler because you know what's going to happen to his character.
It's true. It's true. I'm not sure I've really ever seen him in anything properly that he hasn't.
Let's just say he dies in everything.
He
Sean
dies in
Bean, he
everything,
dies in every movie. It's just what he does.
Yeah, it's
actually,
not really a spoiler anymore, is it?
Yeah.
It's just the internet's meme.
I remember when Game of Thrones started, I said, "Oh, at least this will be finally something he doesn't die in because it's a TV show."
There's that other TV show, I can't remember what it's called, like Legend, something like that, on TNT, where he's already dead to begin with. That's
he's
the
a
twist
ghost.
on that one.
Oh my! Okay.
Oh no, he's not a ghost. It's a bit more complicated than that. But it's like he already died.
Yeah. Again, I find Lord of the Rings eternally boring. So
yeah, carry on.
My number 4. Oh, something Connor doesn't like. This is great.
It's a Tarantino movie, isn't it?
My favorite Tarantino movie, Kill Bill. And yes, I am counting this as one film because it is one film. It just was split in two because it was too long. So
Sure.
whenever I watch it as one movie. I think it's very clear it was meant to be one movie. And it was. I mean, it was, and then they split it in two because it's like, yeah, no one's going to sit and walk down for 4.5 hours, Quentin. Let's split it.
Damn right, I don't want to sit down for that long for this.
Oh, I would have. I mean, give me an intermission, of course, so I can get up and pee and whatnot. But I'll watch a 4.5 hour because I've never watched it separately. I have never watched it split up. I've always watched them back to back, both parts. So, yeah, one movie. I'm counting it. So, I love Kill Bill. Kill Bill is. I mean, I love most of Tarantino's stuff. There's very. I mean, there's nothing in his filmography that I don't like at all. Like I always at least like it. And I outright love some of it. This is probably him at his most pulpy, and no pun intended because he made Pulp Fiction, but it is like inspired by all these like martial arts movies. It's a revenge story. It's all these things. It's bright. It's colorful. The action's fantastic. The fight in the end of the first part with the crazy 88s, excellent. Like I love all of it. It's like memorable characters, the hit list she makes, because obviously the movie starts, you see that she was basically murdered but didn't quite die, and she comes back, wakes up years later, and she has to hunt down all the assassins of her former team that she worked with, and she gets to finally Bill, because the movie's called Kill Bill, because of course it is, and it's phenomenal. I love all of it. It's a great story. It's an empowering story. She's great in the movie, Uma Thurman. Because for as silly and for as over the top action as the movie is, and for as jokey as it is, there's some genuine emotion at various points, especially the end, and I love that loads. And the opening fight as well, in the house with Vivica A. Fox, like that is phenomenal. And them like throwing each other into glass tables and all that, and it's brutal. It's great. I love it. Kill Bill, fantastic.
I bought this on Blu-ray very cheap a few years ago, maybe like 4 years ago now, thinking, oh, I mean, I guess I should give it a try. And I can never bring myself to put it on. I don't know why I bothered buying. I mean, I don't really rate it that much because it was like, dirt cheap. It was like, the price of a lunch.
Anytime you're thinking, I'm going to watch Lord of the Rings, use that 4.5 hours better. Watch Kill Bill instead.
I'm probably going to watch Lord of the Rings next week.
Stuff happens in Kill Bill, it's great.
Stuff happens in Lord of the Rings, it's phenomenal.
No, it doesn't. Nothing happens in that movie.
Lots of things happen in that movie. We went over how there was 2 giant battle sequences in Return of the King.
We don't care about anything because it's still CG and like...
Of course I care about things, and there's a lot of non-CG, there's a lot of extras, there's a lot of outfits, and screw you.
Oh, God. I remember when that was coming out, people were talking about how great the battle scenes were. Oh, it's just driving technology forward. And then when I saw it maybe a couple of years later, I was like, this is so boring. I don't care about any of this. This is exactly the sort of shit that's led to some of the most like emotionless CG battles in some of these big budget movies.
No, it's not. Don't give it that shit. It has characters that all of these battles mean things to these characters.
Empty. I like empty movies. Kill Bill, much better than Lord of the Rings. You heard it here first, folks. What's your number 3, Connor?
My number 3 is it's one you've mentioned actually.
Oh.
This is Let the Right One In.
Ah, yes.
And I thought I'll save at least 1 point for when I mention it. The sound design terrifies me, like genuinely terrifies me.
It's good.
It cuts to my soul like no other movie does. And I know we mentioned how good it is in Requiem for a Dream. This is on a different level to even that, in my opinion.
This has like obviously there's a scene later on where he's underwater. It's really well done with the sound. But I think
the sound of the teeth is nightmarish.
What I love about it, I love how simple the effects are in the movie. Actually, there's like when you see her do something very vampire-y, I love all those moments. But it's actually because as much as as solid as the remake is, because Matt Reeves did the remake, it's a solid movie. I would never watch it again because I'm always going to watch this version because it's better. But it's still a solid movie. But the one thing where I think, because the remake even has a scene that wasn't in this one in a car that's all one shot, it's a phenomenal scene. So it's a shame that, it's just kind of wrapped in a redundant movie.
Yeah.
It's got a good cast. Chloe Grace Moretz as the girl, is great. But it The one thing it really falters on though is that it does like this CG stuff with Eli when she's doing vampire stuff, and it's just bad, and it's like no,
that's disappointing.
original was better. It was better in almost every way, but it was definitely better in that way. But no. So my number three, and its correct spot is Unbreakable.
Sorry, just for a reminder, I'm just scrolling down my list. Where did I have that? That was I mean, it had a 3 in it. It was 36.
Unbreakable is a goddamn masterpiece in superhero storytelling. It's Shyamalan's best movie, and it's phenomenal. Bruce Willis is a very down to earth, arguably the most realistic superhero story where someone has superpowers. It plays it so straight. It is nothing but Act 1 of a superhero story. It is the origin. It is the discovery that he is special. It is the feeling like you're not doing what you're supposed to do with your life. The cinematography is fantastic. It does all these things where it's like, you know, almost every shot can be analysed in what it's doing and like what it's representing and what it's revealing. And I love it. So cinematography is great. The music is phenomenal. I don't think you mentioned that, but James Newton Howard's score is one of my favourite scores ever.
It's the high point of the movie for me. I do like the movie, but that is the high point for me.
I love it. There's like almost no fault I can point to it. It's great. I cannot wait for Glass.
Very good.
What do you mean very good? That wasn't a pun.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, very good that you're excited for it.
Yeah, the third movie's called Glass.
I know. I'm just going, yeah, very good that you're excited for it.
Okay, good.
I didn't mean that as that was meant to be a pun.
Yeah, excellent. What's your number 2?
It's funny how you mentioned that was a masterpiece of superhero movies, because in my opinion, The Incredibles is a masterpiece in superhero movies. This is easily the best superhero movie, in my opinion. It's so yeah, I have this above.
Bold. That's a bold comment.
I have this far above Unbreakable. I have this above Dark Knight. It's my favorite superhero movie, favorite animated movie. Obviously, kind of goes without saying it's favorite Pixar movie by that point. But this is for one, it's a good Fantastic Four movie. 2, obviously. 2, it's the best Watchmen movie that we have by far.
Sure, the competition's not great.
No, it's not. But it plays with a lot of the Watchmen ideas in a phenomenal way. The family is just fantastic. All of them are likable. All of them are different. The animation is spectacular. The score is phenomenal, and it's so down to earth while being super heroic as well.
I like it a lot. I don't love it quite as much as you do.
I am so pumped for the second one. I really am.
I like it more than a lot of superhero movies. I do not like it more than some of the ones you mentioned. You know, your Nolan Batmans, your
Unbreakable, clearly.
Unbreakable, obviously. Here's the biggest thing I'll say against it. And it's not really against the movie itself. I think the movie's great. It's a fantastic movie. Brad Bird already did a better superhero movie. He already did The Iron Giant, which I think is better than
He did a
Incredibles.
very good superhero movie before this, and then he came in and improved on what he'd already done.
I think Iron Giant's better. I'm sorry. Not eligible for this list, of course, because that was 1999.
Of course.
But I'm just saying, if we're talking Brad Bird superhero animated movies, I'm going with Iron Giant.
It's very good. Don't get me wrong, I like it a lot, but it's no Incredibles.
All right, my number 2. Mulholland Drive.
See, I knew those two, Unbreakable and Mulholland Drive being where they were would offend you. But at least I said Mulholland Drive might move up next time we do this.
Mulholland Drive is the first ever David Lynch movie I watched, and I loved it. It blew me away. Like I went in, I actually went in scared because I'd avoided David Lynch for so long, like hearing like,
the man, the myth.
Yeah, the myth, the legend that was, and not knowing if like I was going to hate it, if I was going to find it tedious, if I was going to just think it was weird, and it drew me in. It blew me away. It made me think. I didn't even understand it as well as I did now. Like, like the first viewing, it was like, wow, how did I take this in? But it didn't matter. The dreamlike quality to it, the way the music, it was fantastic. The acting, the absurd nature of it. It drew me into this world and made me question things. And it's phenomenal. I love it. And obviously, it's led to more of his films. It's led to Twin Peaks. It's led to all these things. I love him as a filmmaker, and Mulholland Drive as it's got something to say. It's an exploration of dreaming and dreams of going to Hollywood and being a star and what happens when your dreams fall through and sort of the inner psyche of that and all that sort of stuff. Fantastic.
It's very good.
That leads to your number one, Connor.
It is, and I have a sneeze for you. You actually know what this is, don't you? At this point, you've worked it out.
There's something missing
that
I was expecting to pop up.
Would you like the honours?
So you're putting the worst movie in a mediocre trilogy in your number one spot.
You're damn right, because I disagree with everything you just said, except that it's going in the number one spot. That is right. This is Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I love this movie so much. It is phenomenal. It's just incredible. And it's just, I mean, especially the extended edition, which has, it has more stuff with Boromir, Faramir, Denethor that I just love.
I've only ever seen the extended editions, and I wish I hadn't. I wished I saw the theatrical versions. I hated this the most out of the three.
I hate you sometimes.
I don't know why Gandalf is back. Like, what's the point?
Why? Because he has a mission to do. But that is the point.
It just cheapens his death. Like, I liked his death in the first one.
It doesn't cheapen his death. This is the intention. See, this is your hatred of fantasy coming in. This is supposed to be a higher power, a destiny. You're not supposed to question it. It just is.
This is it's bullshit. Oh my god! It's 12 hours to tell a story of them walking to a mountain. Like, I just
so much brilliant character stuff in that 12 hours.
The journey in the Power Rangers movie of them going from the temple to the cave that has all the powers is a better Lord of the Rings movie than the three Lord of the Rings movies. They fight skeleton dinosaurs when they go on their journey. Look,
I'm not dignifying that response. I'm just saying Helm's Deep is the greatest battle sequence in cinema history.
Which one's that?
The one at the end of this movie, where the armies, they go to the castle and they fortify themselves in, and then the orcs come to them, and then the elves show up. Is this ringing any bell? Legolas slides down the stairs on a shield and shoots arrows at them.
Oh yeah, everyone fawns over the Legolas stuff. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something that'll jog your memory to place. I don't think that's the best moment, but
I remember is Gandalf coming back. I remember two of the hobbits riding around in a tree.
Yep. Tree bit.
And Legolas sliding down something, and that is literally all I remember. I nothing else is retained.
I love what this does with the characters. It makes Legolas and Gimli so much better and deepens their relationship.
I vaguely remember there have been lots of scenes in like a big building where these giant doors, and it was like all these like debates going on about what to do about something.
Yes.
And I just remember being insanely bored.
That's Helm's Deep.
Is that Helm's Deep? Okay.
Yes, because you have one of the famous shots is Aragorn pushing the doors open as he comes in.
Nah, sorry.
No, okay. Go on then.
Okay, my number one, which you can probably guess as well, actually.
Oh, I can. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Shall I do the honours of this one?
No, you shall not. I'm not giving up my moment. That was your choice. So, this is a deeply personal. I think a lot of the films that I've said up until now, I'm picking for various reasons. Filmmaking, I'm picking for what it does as a movie. And I think almost everything I've said works on its own completely. That is not true for my number one. My number one is a conclusion to something that's deeply personal, and this is Serenity. This is the movie that we got because Firefly was cancelled, and I'm a big fan of Joss Whedon, of course. I mentioned Buffy all the time as a thing. Angel, Dollhouse actually was pretty good as well. There's some rocky moments in there, but overall I liked what it was doing, and I love Firefly. And Serenity is probably an insanely unique experience that I will probably never have again, where I loved this show, it got cancelled, I thought I'd never get a conclusion or anything else again, and then somehow a movie got made. And it wasn't the exact plan originally, we've been spoken since about how some of this was going to be the end of season 2, but some of it wasn't, and then there was other ideas that he never got to, and of course, because he had to, and he said that this is the hardest thing he's ever done, is write a 2-hour conclusion for something he had like 4 seasons planned, you know, beyond what we'd got. It's heartfelt. It's a rollercoaster ride. I laughed a lot. Whedon's very funny, of course, with his writing. I cried. I loved all these characters. When, you know, death might come up, every single time it happened, it hurt. There's genuinely a moment in this movie, and I have never felt this in just about anything else, where I genuinely believed that any character could die.
Yeah.
I genuinely believed that at one point in this movie. And maybe that was foolish in hindsight, but it sold it to me. It sold it to me that none of them are safe. And it really sold its themes, it sold its message towards the end. It's got great science fiction fights, battles, memorable moments, lines, quotable. This is a movie that's here purely for personal, heartfelt reasons. No experience of a movie has ever hit me in a theatre like this has. Some have come close, none have topped it. It's not my favourite movie of all time, that's not what I'm saying. But in terms of theatre-going experiences, it's probably the best I've ever had. So when it comes to this decade, nothing's touching it. Well, I guess that brings us to an end of this top 50 2000s. There was a cut there. We got interrupted at the right before the end, which is the worst place to. It's just annoying. Like we're almost done. Let's finish. It's just a thing. Anyway, so that is us. So by all means, share us your top 50s.
And more importantly,
or top 10s.
Who do you agree with on Lord of the Rings?
No, because that's low-hanging fruit. There's tons of Lord of the Rings fans who are going to hate me for that. I think the more interesting question is, as a whole, which list do you prefer?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's a much more interesting question. So by all means, let us know that. And give us your own top 50s, or if you obviously don't have to do a whole top 50, although I'm the sort of person who takes that challenge, is like, yeah, I'll do 50. But if you want to do a top 10 of the decade, or top 20 or something like that, by all means, give us your lists. It's exciting to see. And no, as like we say, we'll be doing another top 50 like this again at the end of January. We'll be doing top 50 science fiction films. So by all means, if you want to spend a month watching sci-fi movies, we'll probably have a couple of sci-fi episodes, I imagine, over the month.
And of course, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure some of the movies we've mentioned on these lists will pop up in our sci-fi list.
You would have to imagine.
So I'll be interested to see where they place versus other decades.
Yeah, I think what's funny about it is that, you know, over time people might be able to cross-reference and say, hey, wait a minute, you had this above that in that list, but you've got it below that.
Do you know what? I can think of a few examples of that I've done in the past, and there are movies that I will say I like that more as, say, a horror movie. I like it more as a horror movie in a horror list, but just as a movie, I like this more. Yeah,
I mean, maybe that's true as well, but I think honestly, just these things change from time to time.
Change, yeah, exactly.
Like, you ask me to do this again in exactly a year, I will probably have some swapped around. They'll be generally the same overall, but there'll be some swaps.
It'll be some placement moves, yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way things are. Lists are a fluid, evolving beast.
You would know, wouldn't you, list master?
Thank you. Yes, that's how you should address me. But just you can drop the list part. Just master would do.
Yeah, don't push it, look.
But that is our top 50 movies of the 2000s. So thank you very much for hanging around and listening to all these insane picks. Hopefully you got some recommendations. Hopefully you had fun. But you know, and by all means, let us know if you're excited about the prospect of doing this every once in a while. I mean, we'll do one at the end of January, but after that, it'll be every 3 months or so, give or take. We'll do one of various things. Like I said at the start, recommend other things that we could do lists of. You know, obviously, the decades and the genres are obvious ones we're going to be doing. But if you have other insane ideas, by all means, even shorter ones, if you think there's, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be just, maybe we'll just do a 10 if it's like, okay, well, if it's a very specific thing.
Oh yeah, like top 20 time travel movies, for example. Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
that would tear us apart because Back to the Future should be number 1, and Connor would completely butcher his list with.
I'm sure it'd be on there somewhere.
So that is us. So by all means, let us know what you think in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mildfuzztv. You get these early at the $1 tier, and then there's other bonus. You get a vote at the $5 tier for the monthly episode. In fact, we're getting very close. We'll be picking what our next vote is for over the course of January. But yeah, so that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.